Those are the guys who pre-funded OpenAI and Stripe and Airbnb. So all these big names you hear came out of schemes like this. They've lost maybe me as a customer, but they've lost me as a vehicle being driven on my fleet when I go to an office, in the car park, when we go to an event with other people.
Where do you see opportunities for this connectivity, or what can we start to do differently to solve some of those pain points?
It's a Supernote Manta. So
what?
It's exactly a name you might not have heard before.
Welcome to this week's Gear Change episode of the Drive Time podcast. I'm joined again in the studio by Lloyd Stretton, who is the Chief Technology Officer for ROI Automotive. You'll have some great takeaways from this week's episode and also the best road trip across the Swiss mountains, so stay tuned. So I think the Gear Change episode is a really good way to pull out some of those key points that we covered in the main episode, and then we can steer people back into that for the full thing if they want to go back. So we covered in the main episode a number of key topics. Just again for this episode, could you introduce yourself and what you do at ROI and what ROI does for the automotive industry in fleet?
Yeah, no worries. Lloyd Stretton, Chief Technology Officer. I've been in the business for about 13 years. ROI as a whole offers a range of services to OEMs to find them new customers and, importantly, retain and grow those customers they've already got.
Yeah.
We have a number of digital platforms that support that, and then some human experts and marketing services that go along to join out that end-to-end service.
We talked about, and I'd love to kind of just revisit some of the takeaways that we covered in the main episode, some of the tech that you're building and maintaining to enable the data to go into the decision makers' hands in a unified way, because we've done a lot of modeling of our own data because it was quite disconnected and disparate. So just talk a little bit about Fleet Gateway. There were two products that I know you do that are really critical to how you consolidate all of that information. There's the leasing portal and then Fleet Gateway. So if you're a leasing provider, that has all of the terms, and then Gateway is the way that the fleet decision makers consume that information. Just talk a little about the kind of key points of those.
Yeah, perfect. So Fleet Gateway is our way of bringing together 30 plus OEMs worth of information into a standardized format that the fleet manager can trust is accurate, it's up to date, and it's has everything they need to make great decisions on what fleets they're going to have on their policy. So
like model spec, model price, model availability, waiting times, all of that.
Everything.
All of that.
So it's like a curation tool of all of the different sources of information an OEM would put out, whether that be things on their website, YouTube videos, documents, spreadsheets, and then the terms, all brought into one place that they can see with the right information.
So for fleet managers, can they just access this information? Do they have to subscribe to it?
So it's a completely free service for fleet managers.
Right.
They simply just log on, and then behind the scenes, we map them to all of the different OEMs that contain their data, and sometimes the different variations that they have. Their company name might be represented differently in each CRM system that the OEMs are running, and we consolidate all that into one master list. So when a fleet manager goes in as his business, selects the OEMA, he can see all of the information that's accurate and up to date for him.
Right.
And then over time, as those relationships change, we simply just switch on and switch off the brands that they can see completely automated from what happens in the OEM systems. So
if I'm a fleet manager and I'm running a corporate fleet and some commercial vehicles or whatever it might be, I can go in, tell you, or can log in and build my own. These are the OEMs I'm interested in. This is the leasing company I work with, and it will just put it all through for me.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah. So, and then it's active. So it may be that the fleet manager doesn't want to do that particular job, but they've met a sales representative from a new brand. They say, we've got a relationship. They use our tools to put together the discount matrix. And then by magic, that appears on the platform the moment it's created, ready for them to consume with all the alerting they need to let them know to come and view it.
Yeah. And then the other thing that we talked about was the leasing portal. And this, again, is something that was very manual previously, but it enables so many different rates. I think for anyone that doesn't know how fleet works, there are so many layers of data, so many vehicles, each of them will have, there's a discount, maybe, or there are terms in place for corporates that are buying hundreds of thousands of vehicles. And those terms are then managed by a third-party leasing provider who will fund that fleet. And so that kind of sits off balance sheet. And then all of these interrelationships are very complex and require lots of managing, lots of data points. So leasing portal, just explain again sort of the high level what Leasing Portal does.
So Leasing Portal consolidates all of those terms from all of those OEMs in a singular place and format, so that the admin and processing teams inside a leasing company have got a consistent workflow. They know where to go at what time to consume the information they need to load into their systems. So importantly, they can quote as quick as possible. And that's what everybody wants, is just joining that information. The OEM wants their vehicles ready to be quoted. The leasing manager wants it ready on his fleet process so that his drivers can buy it quickly, all in one place. So yeah, Leasing Portal does that for the leasing industry. It has some commonalities. We share certain data sets with them that are useful. So lead times, particularly product information. Again, they have a lot of similarities. And again, they want to share that same conversation. So when a fleet manager or their drivers are interacting with the leasing company, they want the same story. They want, I can see we've got a lead time of X. Oh, I can see we've got the lead time. This is my discount. I can see this. So it's just bringing those silos of information into one place for the leasing companies.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's bad enough when you think for a retail customer going in and buying something, it can be quite clunky and painful. When you're doing it times 1,000, that's a lot of admin.
Yeah.
So So the other thing as well that we do on this episode is kind of bring out either like top tips, like myth busting. How do we kind of bring the whole sort of topic to life? So I think any kind of takeouts from an episode, one of the things that we talked about, we just alluded to, was how do we connect up fleet and retail, because that can be quite challenging. And some of the opportunities around after sales are like, wouldn't it be great if you've got fleet drivers who are trying to find servicing? How do we surface available capacity within our after sales domains to those people that might be looking for them, so you can find it more easily? And so these are the dots that we can start to connect. What are the other things that we talked about, Lloyd, in an episode were surfacing pricing? So where do you see opportunities for this connectivity, or what can we start to do differently to solve some of those pain points?
Yeah. So if I look at it as, what does the customer of the service want? So if I'm a driver, how do I give you things that are going to make your life easier? Some of those are pure information.
Yeah.
Just to know what availability, it's the basic stuff. Can I get the information around when am I likely to get a service by accessing information you've got on your platforms in ours? That's a starting point.
Yeah,
it saves a call. And I think we often overlook that. Lots of consumers don't actually like the interaction with a dealer, whether that be for sales or after sales. So anything we can help them do digitally to get them on that journey helps smooth some of those barriers to the interaction process. So service information, pricing, sometimes less so for those customers, because it's in many of the deals packaged either on the sales tax scheme or in the leased vehicle that they've got. But it's that interaction piece really, that what can they do that they couldn't do before? What can we share and show? And that's driver, but it's fleet manager for me. It's the fleet manager is lost in that world. They don't get to see all of that intrinsic information that's happening with a driver unless they've got a really proactive leasing company who can gain access and information and share it with them.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of work. And sometimes if they're multi-funded, they're doing that in multiple different ways. So we've got to find ways of, again, bringing all of that rich data. They're all doing great jobs into a format that someone can consume and use really easily.
One of the personal experiences we spoke about before the episode was like your own. Like we talked about salary sacrifice being a really major contributor to new vehicle registrations through companies' own salary sacrifice schemes. So actually you're still a consumer, you're still spending your money, but it might be coming through a salary sacrifice scheme. So the leasing provider is ultimately paying for it, but like on your behalf. So your own personal experience, and I think this is where if you get it wrong, it can be, you're going to choose a different brand if it goes wrong. So just your own personal experience. I mean, you can or cannot mention the brand.
No, I'm brand agnostic. But going into a purchase process, we've normally got a couple of options, haven't we? It's very rare, I think, a buyer is so wedded to an individual vehicle. So in my experience, I'm in a brand. I am servicing my vehicle in the brand's in dealership. So I'm now looking at other vehicles that they may have while I'm having a service. I inquire about a particular vehicle. The salesperson responsible for that isn't available. We'll give you a call back, Mr. Stretton, and we'll get you arranged in a test drive. Just by the way, I'm a salary sacrifice customer. So that's a closing statement from me, just to make sure they know I don't want any confusion.
Yeah.
That means I don't get a call back. But that happens in the other alternate brand that I'm considering, that they don't give me an option either of a callback. A third dealer, though, does. And they happen to now have my business just because they followed a process. They let me test drive the vehicle that I was interested in. And actually, interestingly, worked out through the process that it didn't matter because I was going to get, they were my nearest dealer and they knew it. They were going to get my service business.
Yeah.
And they understood that. So great. It might not be a number for the monthly sales target for me as an individual salesperson, but I understand as a business as a whole, you're a transactional value to me. Whether or not I get the unit, whether it's sourced from another dealer, you're coming to me for servicing. Most probably. It's not always that case because the certain deals with certain lease companies are third-party servicing provided, but that's it. You can lose a customer. And what's important, I think, when people don't really think about it is they've lost maybe me as a customer, but they've lost me as a vehicle being driven on my fleet when I go to an office in the car park, when we go to an event with other people see that car. So it's weirdly another marketing opportunity for that vehicle.
Every single time.
Every time.
Yeah.
And all of that pre-experience now is a story or information I'm going to communicate to someone else. So when someone says to me, oh, I'm considering X, and I go, oh, I didn't have a great experience over there. I've got one of these. Do you want to have a look? And that's hard. And I don't think there's a simple solution as everyone would have solved it. I think in that, how do we solve that corporate sales-sack buyer and dealership? But I think that's something to reflect on as an industry as a whole. There's things we must be able to do, not just technology driven, that help them.
But in terms of lead attribution, it's like if you have a lead attribution, we talk a lot and we see how much money is spent on marketing to get a new customer or to have a repeat customer. We obviously work in retention. Fleet is the biggest retention method that you can have because you've got a shortened list of OEMs sometimes within your fleet. Salary sacrifice may be more open to, you can choose whatever you want within that scheme, whatever that leasing provider is providing you as a choice within your budget. But I think in terms of lead attribution, if you've got somebody in your showroom wanting to buy their next thing, regardless of funding, how could you? And my key takeout for that would be, if you're an OEM or a retailer or a retail group, and you have customers in the service cycle within the last year of their lease, really look after them. Like really look after them. Because if they then go to a competitive brand, they could be with that brand for 6-9 years.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's it. Your brand loyalty is won or lost on those little interactions. And
it's the micro moments, I think. We underestimate those micro moments. I'm in your showroom already and I'm having your brand experience. I'm drinking your coffee. Keep me. So you keep me for longer. So I think that's the bit where if we could appeal to any OEM or retailer or retail group, please look after me in the micro moments because they really matter. They really do matter.
100%.
So yeah, brilliant. So the other thing as well, we were going to talk about as well, and because you work in technology and this is a tech podcast, we always ask, like, where do you source your information? Where do you find, because as an industry, technology is really evolving quickly. We rely on people like you, Lloyd, who are tech native to try and educate and inform the larger industry about, that's the reason that you build the products that you build, because you're solving problems. So where do you get your inspiration? How do you find stuff? What's your source? Do you read things, listen to podcasts?
I love to walk around shops. We were talking about this on the way in. I love to look at experiences people have and see how humans are interacting. So that's like on the tacit, everybody can do that. So that's like a given. I think I just implore people to look around a bit more and see the whys. Why are people doing the things? Technically, though, Hacker News has always been a big part of my life, and it's not a fearful thing. It's a consolidated news source from a group of companies in the main that are in a scheme called Y Combinator. So unknown to many people, based out in the US. They are known for this scheme they run over a 3-month period where they fund a group of individuals to build a product. So they've got very limited funding. They call it ramen funding. So they're just going to go and eat very simple food for 3 months is the way that they sell the scheme. And at the end of it, you do a demo day to a whole group of investors. That sounds interesting, but that demo day for me is a place I look at who's coming out of the batch, as they call them. What are they solving? What problems are they? Have they looked at, and have people started to fund? So that gives us tips. It gives us an indication of where the market's moving. What's interesting to investors is normally a precursor to it's going to happen in other industries. And also, they're solving a problem in pharmaceuticals, okay, so how does that relate to the world that we live in? What process automations are they thinking of? How are they using AI involved in the process? So that's a big thing for me, that demo day. Just to cap on why it's important, those are the guys who pre-funded OpenAI and Stripe and Airbnb. So all these big names you hear came out of schemes like this. And that's really important for those groups. And Hacker News is a supporting product where it's a forum that you can hear their opinions, but also it's a really well vetted group of people who discuss the latest topics as they come out. So I get a lot of inspiration from there for our general technology.
So Hacker News, and you kind of go, oh, they're not hacking you. Actually, so we as a business every year have a hackathon, and we did it at Auto Trader. We've done it. A number of tech companies will have a hackathon, and a hackathon, if you haven't done one in your business, you literally have 24 hours of innovation. And you try and hack yourselves, basically. You go, well, where can we be more efficient, use more technology, solve pain points? And you have squads of people who literally will kind of throw their brains at it, and we bring in third parties who help us actually build tech, or we'll use Figma, or we'll use other tools to try and build out the tech tools to solve the problems that we think we have. So I think as an industry, we've talked about this a number of times, I would love for us as an industry to have a hackathon and get OEMs or fleet operators or leasing providers and retailers and consumers, actually, whatever, involved in how do we create this, culture of fixing things that are broken, and actually just like, how can we make it better? Where does it broke? How do we fix it? So I think that would be my little call to arms, is how do we collectively do this as a thing? And I've mentioned it to a couple of VMs, like, would you like to get involved with a hackathon? And they would love it. They really would love to get involved. I think it's not something culturally that we do within the automotive sector, but we do in the tech sector.
Yeah. And I think there's part of that's legacy. So the legacy infrastructure an OEM's got, they know it's a challenge to change quickly, but that doesn't stop you looking at the problem. I think the looking at a problem quickly, assessing all the different permutations of how you might go about solving it, and then coming up with a shared vision and plan of that is a really good way to be looking at the challenges that the industry is facing as a whole. So yeah, I think we would love to be involved, but yeah, I definitely think it's something that people should spend more time doing.
Definitely.
In a concise period of time, yeah.
Yeah, I think having it over 24 hours, I mean, it's, it's like there's a lot of pizza, we kind of get involved, but at the end of it, we then pitch, we have like a Dragon's Den style pitch. The teams that have kind of come up with the ideas, they pitch their ideas. There are winners. Those ideas get developed. It's brilliant. We invest in them. So actually we're going to go, well, that's great. Some of them could be internal, but actually it's a really great way to hack yourselves. So Hacker News. And what was the Ramen funding thing that you mentioned? So
yeah, Ramen funding is, the Hacker News is the site, but in their scheme, you'll see them run those campaigns for 3 months, and they do an interview process. They'll find the latest creative minds in that sector. But what they're really investing in is people. It's like everything. Yeah, it's an idea is great, but are you the individuals who are going to execute it? Do you have confidence that you can create a vision, you can execute, you've got passion, drive, all of those pieces of the puzzle, the general entrepreneurial view. And then they fund them so incredibly frugally that really sharpens the mind on, we've got 3 months to go from...
Yeah. And most startups don't have a lot of funding,
exactly,
actually. Right. So you've just got to be able to really think lean. How do you get it done, and how do you get it developed? And then the other thing we always talk about are things like, what are the tech tools that you can't live without, and what's the most exciting innovation that you can think about? So tech tool for you, Lloyd, what's one thing that you can't live without?
So this is a strange one. It's a Supernote Manta. So
what?
It's exactly a name you might not have heard before. You may have seen a Kindle.
Yeah,
you've got a Kindle.
I've got a Kindle. It's in a drawer, dead somewhere.
Exactly. So the new versions of those e-ink devices are writing devices.
Oh, yeah.
So a Supernote or Remarkable, you'll see an ad for books. What they are is a device that takes, for me, the ideas into a physical format. So, and you and I have used them. AI on a meeting is great for summarizing what we've said, collating actions. But for me, it doesn't actually capture what I'm thinking. Right. What am I thinking to solve? What inspiration have I got from this conversation? What else do I want to think about? So I use the Supernote to jot down all of those concepts through all the meetings. And then because it's technology, it will auto convert it into the right text. It will move it onto my desktop. It will create me an image of it. And then I can use ChatGPT or similar to summarize and bring out insights or concepts from the different things I'm writing.
Nice.
And it also helps me go back because I think I like to write and I've got pads and pads. How do I find that thing that you and I discussed 3 months ago? Now, a tool like a Supernote brings that into a place that I can actually find what we discussed and
rather than me going like that. Hang on a minute.
Yeah, exactly right.
Somewhere.
Yeah,
I know.
And I think everyone writing is a really powerful thing for a human to capture extra information and store it in a different way to a typed thing, because the typed thing seems to disappear with all the other typed things you type, and we're doing a lot of typing.
Yeah. I'm a mind mapper. I like to just draw pictures and have like my brain goes boop, like that, and I link things together, and then I use that to try and put it into long form. But I have to take it and type it, and then it does it. So, but actually, something like that would be quite a game changer for me.
You can draw on it, yeah. So if you wanted to draw your mind map and then do a conversion, exactly, all that type of stuff.
I'd have to write neatly, my best handwriting, so it knows what I'm trying to write down.
It's better than you'd think, because
Really?
I'm not known for great handwriting, and the accuracy is pretty strong.
Oh.
Yeah. I was very much that kid who was told, please write in caps. So yeah.
Yeah, one of my sons does that. I've got 3 boys. Their handwriting is all equally dreadful, but that's fine. They can text me. They do text me all the time. And then that's incredible though. So tech tool for you. And then the other thing we looked at, innovation that you're excited about. Is there anything you can think of that you think, oh, this is coming, or I can't talk about it?
We've got one big one we can't talk about, which we only just yesterday have done a deal in Switzerland and Germany for a particular new product that's coming to the market. It's been in the wings for quite a while. By midsummer, we'll have a new product out in a very associated field. But for us, it's a really interesting counter to some of the challenges we have with some of the corporate and sales tax schemes. There's another way that we think we can go to market and help.
Well, I hope I'm one of the first to know when you're allowed to talk about it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
We'll tag it on LinkedIn when you go live, but do tag us when you go live and we'll make sure we promote it.
Yeah, no worries.
And then the other kind of, I think, fun topics are dream road trip destinations, where you've been or where you want to go, and then your chosen song or band for that road trip. Okay,
so I would recreate something me and my wife did a long time ago. So, I mean, when you say the numbers and go over 20 years ago, it feels like a long time, but yeah,
scary,
I know. We didn't get the chance to do traveling at uni. We worked all the time. We didn't go and do a season somewhere or anything. So in our late 20s, before we had kids, we went and took 4 weeks to go skiing. So what we did is we flew down to Geneva, picked up a hire car, and then drove through parts of France and Italy and Switzerland. And we met friends and family through parts of that. So we spent 4 weeks. I mean, that was really extravagant, for 4 weeks skiing in different places. And I'd recreate that for all the memories. I love the mountains and I love the views over there. So yeah, I'd definitely be there and do that. And I'd probably pick some music that was, me and my wife don't have exactly the same taste. I'd probably pick something in the Massive Attack, sort of, or Portishead type.
That was of that era. Yeah. 20 years ago, Massive Attack, Portishead. I had the CD. I lost that in the divorce, but I had downloaded it now to stream it. I don't have any CDs. I have no CD player. But yeah, so that's a good, protection. You need protection because you've got a dodgy knee. Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. And Tracy Thorn, beautiful singer, everything with the girl. Yeah. So yeah, all of that era was very much stuff I'd like to listen to again. Cool. Lloyd Stretton, thank you so much for it's like This Is Your Life, your gear change episode and your road trip destination and song. We do have a Drive Time podcast playlist on Spotify, so you can actually find your track on there. I'll add it after this episode, and then I'll tag it on the episode. I'll send you a link to it so you've got it. But there's some random ones on there, but we used it for the party that we had here at Christmas. It was really good fun. So yeah, I'll add it on, and I can't wait to hear your innovation in Switzerland in the coming months, hopefully. Brilliant. Well, thanks very much for having me. It's been brilliant. Thanks again to Lloyd Stretton from ROI Automotive. Don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like, follow and subscribe, and you'll never miss an episode of the Drive Time podcast.